Lady is experiencing mild symptoms and will remain in Delaware for the week. President Biden tested negative last night for COVID-19 and tested negative again today. He's not experiencing any symptoms.
Well, First Lady Jill Biden's COVID diagnosis forces the White House now to talk about their least favorite subject, COVID, which is odd because it used to be their favorite topic. Their response to the recent COVID surge proves COVID mandates were and remain much more about politics and power than public health. Kids heading to college now and universities nationwide have already implemented mask mandates despite little evidence that they work. We'll get to that lack of evidence in a minute. But the White House and Democrats won't talk about COVID. They realize how politically toxic mandating and masking are. Even the ladies of The View seem stunned.
As you can see, Whoopi is not here. She has COVID. Yes, it's back. It's back.
It's back.
Yeah. To be fair, The View hasn't figured out what so much of rural America, real America, has. COVID, to most all of us, doesn't mean taking work off to be safe. It means kids who can't read, closed businesses and lost jobs, the highest inflation in 40 years. I could continue, of course. Speaking of lost jobs, Kheriaty was fired as professor in the School of Medicine and director of the medical ethics program at UC Irvine for refusing the vaccine. Sacked, canned, dismissed, he wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. And Aaron is with us now. All right, Doc, appreciate you being with us. Now that the White House and others won't talk about COVID, not really interested in vaccine mandates and the like, does that change, you think, the perspective on what happened with you?
My real sin, I think, was not so much refusing the vaccine because the university was willing to work with other faculty members to arrange remote work and other accommodations that they would not work with me on. And the real reason is my sin was challenging the vaccine mandate in federal court. So it was filing a lawsuit arguing that on 14th Amendment equal protection grounds, the university's vaccine mandate was unethical, and coming out in a piece in the Wall Street Journal shortly before they published their mandate, arguing that university vaccine mandates were unethical. So I think it was challenging, as you said in your introduction, I think very aptly, challenging that accrual of power.
Perhaps you could say the mask is off, right? The gig's up in terms of trying to use COVID to accrue other power. I'm interested less from the politics, perhaps, because that's been pretty nakedly exposed, both from the teachers union's perspective, and certainly the White House is exposing it themselves as how they're talking about it now. But from the scientist perspective, because we heard from so many in science that, and Dr. Fauci said it his best, I am science, you can't question science, whereas science was always the idea of questioning things and questioning and challenging the orthodoxy. I mean, there was one time that science said the world was flat. There was one time that it said that if you got the COVID vaccine, you couldn't get COVID. I could go on. What is and has science, and I know that's a big word, but has science learned any lessons?
Well, I would like to think so. And I think many in the scientific community have been chastened and are somewhat embarrassed about what happened. The problem is there are still a lot of structural incentives in place that are making it difficult for scientists to speak out and to challenge and to critique what happened to us over those 3 years.
Speaking of one of those, I hate to interrupt you, but I wanted to get this soundbite in from Dr. Fauci. Who, shall we say, has not really necessarily been humbled at all. But he does appear to be chastened, at least, in acknowledging, as he had not in the past, that how the public view things might actually be more important than how he does. Take a listen.
How do we get beyond that finding of that particular review?
Yeah, but there are other studies, Michael, that show at an individual level for individual, when you're talking about the effect on the epidemic or the pandemic as a whole, the data are less strong.
All right, so that was him talking about what you said initially, which is the mask mandates do not work, and everybody acknowledges that now. And that certain people, if you've got a relative at home who is really immunocompromised, or you are, just like during flu season in the past, you can wear an N95 mask all day long, and it might or might not help you. That's up to you. What did you hear when you saw him being sort of unable to let go of the ghost?
Yeah, so this is Fauci really trying to save his former position.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.